I'm Crystal.
And we are the Beer Sisters. I'm a Certified Cicerone, which is the beer world equivalent of wine sommelier, and Crystal is an Advanced Cicerone.
And we thought it'd be fun to share some tips on pairing beer with cheese, because I think there's nothing in the world I love more than eating beer and cheese together. It's one of the reasons I actually started writing about beer 10 years ago, was when I went to this brewery in Australia and they had a cheese paddle, all paired with different flights of beer, and I just never looked at beer the same way again. And we are here today with some beers from the Durham region.
We have 4 beers from the second Wedge in beautiful Uxbridge.
And 3 beers from All or Nothing Brewhouse in Oshawa.
And we wanted to give you some tips on how to do like a cheese plate. It doesn't have to be fancy, it can be really easy and it can be really fun. So we got our cheese from the Passionate Cooks Essentials in Uxbridge, but you can pretty much go to any cheesemonger or any grocery store and pick out your cheese. A good rule of thumb is to look for like 3 to 4 different cheeses. You want to think about different textures, so get like a soft, bloomy rind cheese, like a brie. You want to get like an aged, cheddar, something really nice and savory, and then you can get like a younger cheese, like a Gouda is really good with the Gouda here. And then I would also, recommend getting like something blue if you like blue cheese, but if you don't, then you can try another like aged cheddar. If you feel intimidated, ask your cheese shop. They will recommend like the perfect mix for you. Always place your cheese first, because it's kind of like the center of your dish, so you want to make sure there's enough room, and then kind of place it so you have space to like put other stuff around it. So you want to reach for stuff like fruit, like figs and grapes and strawberries that you can scatter. You want to make sure you have crackers or bread for sure. Then you can start adding some more savory components, like this beef jerky, which is from All or Nothing, and it's marinated in their beer, so that's pretty cool. And then we have this like great grainy mustard made by Bistro 67 with All or Nothing beer too, so you're like also bringing up more beer components. And then you want to add something sweet. So sometimes I just put like honey in like a little bowl, and this time we just put some raspberry jam to give some extra sweetness on the cheese plate.
And how long should you take the cheese out before you put it on the board?
Oh, I would say at least half an hour before for like these aged cheeses, but for like a brie, I like to take it out like 15 minutes because it can kind of fall apart. When you eat stuff that's really cold, you're not getting the full flavor out of it. And when you let your cheese warm up, just like when you let your beer warm up a little bit, you're gonna have a fuller flavor experience. Just like you smell your beer, you can also smell your cheese to kind of really get to know the intense flavors. It'll taste different in your mouth than it will when you smell it. Yeah. When you're like trying to shop for beer for a cheese plate, it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to fulfill all these style requirements. I have a couple of tips to share about how I would do it. So you can go to like your local craft brewery and ask for, a selection of like 3 to 4 different beers with different flavor profiles, and then buy like 1 can of each and have it in little glasses and taste it alongside the cheese. So some styles to look for is you can always add in a beer that's like flavored with fruits or spices or vegetables. We have like an orange peel pale ale from Uxbridge, and it's gonna like infuse more citrusy notes on your plate.
And we also have their gin joint, which is a gruit, so made without hops but with lots of gin botanicals in it. So that would be great to match up with maybe like a young beanster that's got like a more neutral flavor profile, and you can bring in all of those botanicals to the beer. This like buttery meadow of grass deliciousness. Yum.
And then the other thing you want to look for is like yeast forward beers, which sounds really geeky, but you want to look at things that have a lot of flavors from the yeast. So we have this high grass lemongrass ginger saison from second Wedge, and it is a saison, so it's going to have like fruity and spicy notes in it, but it also has extra flavors from the lemongrass and the ginger.
And the pale wheat ale from All or Nothing will also have most wheat beers have a lot of fermentation flavors, fruity or spicy notes coming from the yeast.
And then you want to look for something like a little darker, like an amber ale or lager, or a dark ale or lager. And we have this honey brown from All or Nothing, and it has like a little bit of sweetness in it, but it has lots of nutty caramel flavors, which you're gonna find in a lot of aged cheeses. So it's gonna be really nice to pair.
Yep, and then we're left with 2 IPAs.
Yeah, and so the IPAs can be tricky. I love to have an IPA when I'm doing cheese, but you have to make sure that you have full flavored cheese on the board to pair it up with, because an IPA is really intense. It has lots of bitterness usually.
Right.
And usually a little bit higher in alcohol. So you want to like give it a match that has as much flavor so they can work well together.
Beer and cheese works for a few reasons. First, they're both from the farm. You've got barley that's grown here in Canada. You've got dairy that's raised on the similar grasses, so they've got similar flavors.
They're both aged and they have different flavors from fermentation.
And beer has a secret weapon that wine doesn't, and that is bubbles. Bubbles when it comes to cheese, really important. You see this like really sticky cheese here. Bubbles scrape the palate clean. It's one of the reasons why wine sommeliers will often reach for a champagne or a dry sparkling when they're challenged with a really sticky cheese or like something heavy on the tongue to wipe away that fat. But almost every beer you will ever meet is carbonated, and so it already has that cutting power. So let's taste something, Tara. What pairing are you most excited to try?
I think I'm really excited to try this honey brown with this Lindsay bandaged goat cheddar. I think it's gonna be a nice contrast with like the saltiness and the savoriness of the cheese, like the, you know, the caramel sort of like sweeter notes in the beer. I think it will tease those out too. And I also think that this beer's like nutty flavors will bring out a bit more nuttiness in the cheese. So
Okay.
when we're tasting beer and cheese together,
Yeah,
you always want to taste your beer first, then taste your cheese, and then taste them together in your mouth. Yeah, like lots of caramel.
I got a little bit of honey
almonds.
too.
Yeah. I get a hint of coffee though on the palate, but it's like nice, like nutty, caramel, roasty, like toasting bread and like putting honey on it. That's what it kind of tastes like. It's delicious, but it's not sweet. It has like a nice bitterness that really cuts across the palate, and I can taste it at the end. So let's taste the cheese.
This cheese really dries out your mouth because it like sticks around, and it's got those like aged, you know when cheddar has those crystals and it's like kind of that umami savoriness. It's got like almost a meaty quality to it from the aging.
I also feel like the cheese tames the beer's bitterness a bit, and the beer coaxes like some sweeter notes out of the cheese. It's a really nice pairing.
Okay.
Really good. So let's try something from Second Wedge. I'm really excited about the high grass. It's new summer seasonal in the LCBO. The Saison with lemongrass and ginger. So it's gonna be like a little spicy and fruity. And I really wanna pair it up with this young Beamster.
Yeah.
Or did we think the Brie?
I think either one would work.
Yeah, that's the beauty. You could try them with different things. So you can do with this like young Beamster.
So fresh and fruity, almost like a Radler or like a lemon lime soda with the
Looks really
lemongrass
pretty.
and the ginger. It's gorgeous.
Lots of bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really get like the spicy, like ginger and the lemongrass kind of spiciness on the tongue, like the citrusy notes. It's really tasty. It's not sweet at all. It has a really nice balance of bitterness and sweetness.
And the cheese, it's got that butteriness. Also a little bit of like grassiness.
I think sometimes these young Goudas can taste a little bit fruity too.
Oh yeah, it's got some lemon notes.
Coax out like some fruity notes.
There are some lemon notes in here for sure. Almost like lemon custard. It's delicious.
That is delicious. That's a nice pairing. I feel like the beer makes the cheese a little bit more tangy, which is nice.
So this is the triple cream brie. Really fatty and like buttery, and just, these are good because they're almost like a pure palate where the beer can play on top of, right?
This triple cream brie is amazing.
And the Saisons usually are a little more carbonated with those fine champagne-like bubbles, which is great for like a really fatty and rich cheese. What are you thinking? No?
I don't love it together. No, I don't. It brings out like mushroomy notes.
The mushroomy rind.
Yeah.
Brie. Okay. Yeah, this pairing works better.
Yeah, the winner is the Beamster.
And that's all like,
Nice intensity, yeah.
that's all about beer and cheese at home. It's not like, okay, well, I looked at this list and they say that this beer and this cheese match. It can be one way to do it, but some of the most fun way is just to get like your friend or your partner, get a variety of cheeses, really pay attention, like mindfully drink the beer, pay attention to the cheese, and then just see which ones work the best and how they change in your mouth when you have them together. So let us know if you do this at home, what cheese and beer pairings are your home runs, and share them here in the comments, and follow us for more.
Cheers.
Cheers.